Hi everyone. Welcome to our ACCES alumni panel tonight. We are talking about my job search journey in Canada, and we do have two of our ACCES alumni here tonight just to share a little bit about their story with you, and we have a number of questions to ask them. So let's get started. So we have today Fraje. And Fraje is one of our ACCES alumni that is going to be speaking to you today. And Fraje is from TD Wealth Management as a finance manager. So welcome, Fraje.
Thank you.
And we also want to welcome Carla as well. And Carla is also a graduate from ACCES Employment, and she's working currently at Rogers right now. Hi, Carla.
Hi, everyone.
Great. So my first question is, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? So, Fraje, do you want to start?
Yeah, for sure. I moved to Toronto, Canada, around 2 years ago, and prior to moving to Canada, I used to work for three large multinationals back in the Middle East. I did mostly financial planning and analysis for the major part of my career, but I also did wealth management, analytics, and strategy. I have a CPA from the state of Illinois, USA, and I have an MBA from Lancaster University, UK. And I'm currently working for TD Bank in wealth management as a finance manager.
Great, thank you. And Carla, what about yourself?
Well, it's been almost 3 years that I landed here in Canada. For personal reasons. I came from Portugal. My background is I'm a senior financial analyst, so I've been always doing financial analysis, modeling, forecasting, budgeting for industries such as telecommunications, IT, food and beverage, and renewables.
Very good. And welcome to our alumni panel tonight. So we'll just go on to the next questions, and those of you that are tuning in, we're going to ask a series of just really honest questions just for you to also learn a little bit more about how it's like to find a job in Canada as well. So the next question would be, how did you market yourself and overcome the challenges that you faced with limited or no Canadian experience?
Your marketing tool is basically your resume. I always say that a resume can never land you a job, but you can never find a job without a resume. It's important to keep it short and sweet, keep it professional, and have a professional review it for you, because this is your marketing tool. As to how to overcome the challenge of not having Canadian experience, attending programs like the bridging programs that ACCES offers is one way, and having that as a line item in your resume could help you. Also, when you apply for positions, make sure that you list those key achievements that are relevant to the position you're applying for. And this way, the recruiter who's reviewing your resume can see that how relevant your experience is, and this will mitigate any risk from not having any Canadian experience. Mm-hmm. Marketing yourself is also another tool. Could be your business card. Always have a business card and invest in a business card. Invest in a business card, and the return on your investment will be phenomenal.
Right. Thank you, Fraje. And what about you, Carla?
Well, I really agree with Fraje. Resume is one of the first steps that you have to get in person with a potential employer. You have always to target your resume to the position that you are applying. You don't have, at least I never underestimated my experience outside Canada. I always talked about that with very proud. In my resume, I always had a brief line introducing the company and what the company some of, for example, in terms of it's a company that it's exporting some product, in terms of how the turnover, just to show some impact of that company, so they can search and they can do some investigation just to keep an interest on the employer. Yes, business card, it's important, something that I had no idea before I came here. Also, volunteering, do some volunteer work. It's really important in Canada. While you are searching for your job, please try to do something. It's something that it's really appreciated by the employers here, and it's a sign that they are seeing that you are really making an effort to stay here in Canada. What else? Well, you need to have your elevator pitch very, very well prepared. That it's something that you can train. And well, with programs like this one, for example, through ACCES, which is a great tool, and I think since you are here, you are in the good shape to start marketing yourself.
Thank you, Carla. Yeah, and definitely business cards is very important. So those of you that are preparing to come to Canada, or if you're already here in Canada, even if you don't have a job right now, you can still have a business card. It's very important so that you can be memorable and give someone something to, just to contact you with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you first came to Canada, I know that there was a number of challenges. So maybe you can kind of share a little bit about some of the challenges you had in terms of job search, and what was your turning point, and what did you start to do differently?
The turning point for me was probably after I applied for maybe over 100 applications online for all these online postings, and received almost zero calls back. And I knew there was something wrong, and I started, trying to figure out what is it that I'm doing wrong, and that was my turning point. It was when I was actually attending one of the events held by ACCES. It was an event, and there was a speaker who was talking about the importance of networking, and this is when I had my epiphany. It was networking was the key. So I switched from applying online to trying to network and create and build relationships. That's basically was my turning point. And if I would go back, I would definitely start networking from day one, because even like applying to those online postings, it takes a lot of time, especially if you need to tailor your resume and your cover letter to each position that you're applying for. That consumes a lot of time. So rather than doing that all the time, just focus on networking, and that's what I would do differently if I go back in time.
Yes, and sometimes it can get very discouraging applying to 100 jobs and not hearing back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what about you, Carla?
Well, same with me. After like 3-4 months with almost no results, because I was sitting at home applying online and nothing. One day I talked with someone about that, and that person indicated me ACCES Employment and told me, go there, they have great programs, they can help you. And well, that was definitely my turning point, joining the Leadership and Connections program. And then was when I really start learning how to properly and effectively search job in Canada. What I will do differently? Yes, I definitely would go out from home and try to get some help from programs like ACCES and try to learn, because culture it's very, very different, and networking, well, it's something that here it's like #1, something that I had no idea, and definitely I recommend, please don't stay home, go out, talk with people, because it's by talking with people that we know the opportunities and we can improve ourselves.
Perfect. There's just a quick question just from Akmal. I just want to acknowledge that he's just asking a little bit about just elaborating on networking and what does that mean. So that one is for Fraje. So maybe you can just elaborate what you meant by that.
Yes. Networking is going out, talking to people, introducing yourself, tell them a little bit about your background, tell them a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here. But connect with them, with people. There will be, like, if you attend one of those ACCES networking events, there will be events specifically tailored and organized for you to meet other people. And you connect with them, you tell them about yourself, you introduce yourself, but most importantly, you don't ask them for help directly. You just talk about what you do and you wait. If they offer you to help, then that's great. If not, you move on to the next person. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. The more people you meet, chances are there will be someone who will be willing to assist you and recommending you for a job, especially if you leave a good impression and you're polite. And that's what's networking all about.
Yeah, and how did you approach a hiring manager, Fraje? You mentioned that as well.
How do I
approach a hiring manager? Like, did you email them or did you cold call them? How did that work?
Yeah, well, hiring managers for me, it was all through the networking events that I attended with ACCES, especially the speed mentoring events. For those of you who don't know what speed mentoring is, it's a type of a networking event that ACCES usually holds or organizes, where you get to sit with mentors who are typically employees of a potential employer, and you ask them for advice regarding job search and your resume, for example, and while at the same time trying in a very subtle way to leave a good impression and try to leave, try to let them see that you might have the potential, which if they are aware of another opportunity, they might refer you to.
So there's not one way to network, right? It's really a matter of just marketing yourself out there, getting out there, attending events.
Exactly, attending events. Some people use LinkedIn as a networking tool. Some people cold call. You can do all sorts of these things. But the thing is for you to speak to someone and connect with them, tell them about yourself in a very polite way, and it's be patient, and eventually something will happen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so why don't we talk a little bit about how we secured our current role? So, Carla, do you want to start on this one? How did you secure your current role?
Sure. I think understand the corporate culture of the organization. It's key. Understand how people talk here inside the organization, because there's organizations that are more formal, more informal, and that it's really, really, really important. So again, here inside the organization, you still need to do networking. It's really, really important, especially at least in my case, I always work for small companies when compared to companies like Rogers that have like almost 30,000 employees. So here it's much more difficult know, for example, where to go, who to ask. So again, you need to learn, you need to, and how can you learn this? By asking, and don't be afraid. Same thing you will start doing while you're searching your job, you still need to do that. That is very important. I'm finding from my experience, people is very open to communicate, and people really likes you to communicate. People don't want you to stand in your laptop and just don't communicate, don't interact. Go to events, for example, show yourself, because that's how new opportunities can come here inside the organization.
Okay, thank you, Carla. And then, Fraje, do you want to talk a little bit about how your job came about?
In one word, networking. Actually, my first job was with CIBC Milan, and I was attending one of those speed mentoring that I just talked about. Speed mentoring events. It's a type of networking event that ACCES was organizing, and just talking to one of those mentors about guidance regarding my resume. He mentioned to me that the head of the financial planning and analysis in their bank was looking for someone, and unfortunately, the speed mentoring event finished before I got a chance to sit with that mentor. However, after the event, and he had to rush out due to other commitments. So after the event, I reconnected with that mentor, and because he saw potential, he offered to forward my resume to the head of financial planning and analysis. And a few days later, I got a call. Within a month, I was hired with CIBC Milan. However, I did not stop. I kept on networking. And in another event that was also held by ACCES, where I networked with the speaker who was talking about the importance of networking, funny enough. And he was kind enough to tell me that he knows someone who works in TD and would be more than happy to refer me to them. He referred me to his friend, and talking to his friend, although she was not in the same field as I am, and that is in finance, she referred me to another person who is in finance, and I connected with that person, talked to them, introduced myself, and after networking and going out with them for a quick cup of coffee and introducing myself, they referred me to the CFO of Wealth Management, and from there it was just within a couple of months I went through interviews and landed the job with TD. So it's basically networking.
Yeah. So as you can see, I know there are some questions about networking, but it's really leaving that good first impression as well, right?
Yes.
Cold calling or just randomly sending emails would not have worked for Fraje.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carla, do you want to talk a little bit about how you got this role at Rogers as well?
Sure. Well, it was through ACCES Employment. So during the program, there are some potential employers that are invited to practice with us interviews, and they're also hiring managers from agencies, recruitment agencies, that are also invited to participate. So it happened that one of the person that I was practicing, he worked for a headhunter, for a recruitment agency, and on the next day, he just sent me an email asking, do you want to come by to my office so we can talk a little more in detail and see if I can help you? So I went there, and well, after a couple of months, he called me with an opportunity for Rogers, and that's how I started. So it was amazing. And again, if it wasn't the program, if it wasn't the networking, I probably wouldn't be at Rogers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you can share a little bit about the benefits of taking on a contract position as well, Carla.
Yes, because this company only works specifically on a contract basis. So I started as a contractor, like a self-employed. And of course, first time for me, and of course that my ultimate goal was to become a permanent. But I know that some people is struggling. Oh, should I accept a role as a contractor? Should I reject and start pursuing another position as a permanent? Well, I just take it because Rogers was one of the companies that I was targeting, and for me it wasn't important if it was a contractor or a permanent position. All that I want is an opportunity to show my work. So what happened after 2 months, the director called me and said, because when I started was to replace a person that left the company, and the director asked me, well, I know that you're in a contract basis, I don't know if you like to do that, but the position is open, and well, I think that if you're interested, you should apply to that position. And I told, of course, I want to apply. What do I need to do to apply? So she just told me, well, go and talk with your manager and say that you want to apply. So I just had to go through the formal process. I had an interview with my manager and the director that they already knew me, but I had to send my resume and my cover letter, and I got the position. So for me, it was one of the best days here in Canada. Yes. So it's really a proof that if you fight well with the effort, things will work out.
Yeah.
Might take more time, less time, but if you be always persistent, if you have a focus, what is your ultimate goal, just don't give up. Things will happen.
Oh, thank you so much, Carla. Yeah, and when you get that first job, it's just like happy day, right?
Yeah.
It's just the best day ever, and all the efforts, and everyone has a different journey, right? But don't ever forget, how you got there. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So my next one would be, do you have any advice for newcomers on how to build their network in Canada? So anything specific, anything that you found worked well for you?
Like I said before, networking is a long process. You need to be patient, and you need to work long and hard on building and maintaining relationships and networks. Always be polite, leave a good impression, introduce yourself, tell them your background, tell them what you're doing here. But it's very crucial that you don't ask people for help directly. Wait for them to offer. If they offer, that's a good thing. If they don't, you move to the next person. I think that's what helped me. That's my attitude towards networking, and I think that's what people should do.
Yeah, and any kinds of events or specific things that people should join, or any interest groups that
for sure. I mean, ACCES Employment provides a lot of networking opportunities in so many different formats. Whether it's a straightforward networking event, whether it is a speed mentoring event, or having a guest speaker from coming to speak, or having these mock interviews that they also hold. All of these, you just use them to get to know people and network with people. I think that's what works for me, and that's what works for me. What works for me best, actually.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention as well, just for Fraje, she actually went to all networking events. Yeah. So it's not just being picky and choosing only specific events that you think you might meet some senior people or only people in your field. Yeah. Anybody can help you. So, and that's how Fraje's attitude was. It's just, absolutely, you never know who you can meet at these events.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what about you, Carla?
Yes, I would like also to add, if you go to LinkedIn, there's a lot of networking groups, and I know it's not only about the LinkedIn, they organize events, they organize dinners. It's great to meet people, and also go to Meetup. If you go to Meetup, it's a website. You can choose different types of groups. It has not, and it doesn't have to be professional. You can start by socialize, just to practice your small talk. It's great. Go to a group that can have a common interest with you. For example, sports. You like cycling. You go to the website Meetup, and you see groups that they always cycle on Saturdays morning. Go there. Meet people, try to socialize, see how the culture, and we never know, because opportunities are everywhere.
Thank you, Carla. And I do want to echo that as well. Even those of you that are not in Canada yet, you can still join, online networking groups and talk to people, even on LinkedIn. There's lots of groups. There is a website called meetup.com. You can check that out as well when you do arrive in Canada, and there's lots of groups that are located in different areas in the in the Toronto area as well as in Canada. So, I mean, it doesn't end there. And also have fun, right? Cycling and painting, or if it's singing, it doesn't matter. It's really a matter of just having something in common with someone so that they can feel connected with you.
Yeah.
So the next question is more specific to your workplace. But how has the adjustment been like in working in your current workplace versus your last role before coming to Canada? So how's the culture like?
Yeah, in all honesty, for me, the adjustment was minimal, personally. I had worked in multinational companies before, and they have more or less the work environment and the work ethics and the corporate culture is very similar. However, it's very important to know the differences in the cultures of the different parts of the world relative to that in Canada, which is reflected in the work environment. Educate yourself before you come on what to expect once you become part of the Canadian society and part of the Canadian workforce. Educate yourself about the culture, about what is expected of you, and the different aspects of the corporate culture. But that's my advice.
Okay, and Carla?
Yes, it is the same for me. Like I was mentioning before, it's very different working in a small company and with a big company. There's a process to adapt. For example, you need to know how people communicate, how they like to communicate. For example, there's people spend a lot of time in meetings, but they also prefer to have a person-to-person, and you are encouraged by your manager to do that. So, and like I was saying before, to adjust, you have to talk, you have to still do your networking here. I think that it's crucial well, I don't like to use the word survive, but yes, and it's really important.
You have something else to add, Fraje? Okay? Okay. Okay, so we're just nearing the end of the panel discussion right now. So I just wanted to ask Fraje and Carla, what kind of any piece of advice that you would like to leave our newcomer audience with today?
Other than networking, networking. Build relationships and maintain them while you're here in Canada looking for your job. Be patient. It might take some time, but eventually someone will get back to you. That's guaranteed. Don't apply to anything and everything online. It takes a lot of time. It consumes a lot of time. Spend that time more in a more smarter way by networking, and have a resume that is clean, professional, short, sweet. Once you apply, stay focused. Only apply to those positions that have 80% or more a match to your background or your profile. And once you network and you have your network, you can always reach out to one of your contacts. Like you apply to what you see a job opening online, you apply to it. Because it matches your background, and then you connect with your connection or your network, and see if someone within your network that works in that organization. You reach out to them and ask them if they could help, reaching out to the recruiting or hiring manager, and if they can forward or refer you to them. That's my advice, and most importantly, have a business card.
Okay, yeah, and definitely you want to be targeted. Every job application can take 2 to 3 hours, right? And a lot of the banks, a lot of the different companies here, they can track. And if you're applying for everything from I don't know, administrative assistant to the CFO, that looks very desperate on your end as well, and it doesn't look very focused. So only apply for jobs that you fit 80% of the needs, the requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, and Carla?
Yeah, I just would like to add the importance of the targeting, not also when you're trying to connect with someone, to do networking, try to not to connect with anyone if you have your target, because like we are saying here in Canada, you need to be very specific what you want to do. So make a list of start by the industry, then the industry, the companies, and then start searching people in that companies that you would like to connect. People from your level, people from 1-2 levels above, and have be very specific on what you want. Of course, you will not say I want a job, and try to investigate the person before you do the first approach. Try to search their profile, and if you find something in common, for example, an association, you find that that person it participates in a, let's say, soccer club. He's coaching a soccer club. Oh, and you also have something in common because you used to be a coach in your country, or you are interested in joining that club. Go by there, start by there, and you'll see that people easily will be more willing to have a first conversation, and start always by when you meet someone, don't go straight to the business, like I'm saying. Start by some informal conversation and let things flow. That's one of my advice.
Yeah, thank you, Carla, for that. We do have a number of other things that are happening for the month of November. So we do have a number of online networking and also workshops that are happening. So I have not posted any of those yet, but do stay tuned. And those of you that are on my mailing list, I will be sharing those events with you as well. If you are located in Toronto and you don't have an employment consultant, please do visit one of our 5 offices, and you can also check out our website at www.accessemployment.ca. Okay? And those of you that also are not here in Canada, if you have a permanent residency status already and you're coming to Canada within 3 months, and you have a background between finance, HR, IT, engineering, sales and marketing, or supply chain, please do email cec@accessemployment.ca. This is an online bridging program, so very similar to what Fraje and Carla did in Canada, but this is for people that are not in Canada yet. So please do email that email address if you are interested in learning more details about that. So that concludes our webinar, and thanks again, Fraje and Carla. It seems like everyone had really great questions, and I hope you all found this very helpful. So stay in touch with us, and thank you so much again for your time.
Sure, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.